Now, I wanted to do this live stream for a while now. Like, this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, but I didn't want to come on here at a time where it felt like I was always being negative on the product of professional wrestling. I didn't want to come on here and make it feel like that, this channel is just pretty much me hating professional wrestling, because here's the thing. If I hated professional wrestling, there's no way in hell that I would consider continuing doing this channel. There's no way in hell that I would even watch the product as a whole. No matter what I will say about professional wrestling here on this video or ever, when it comes down to it, I'll always be a fan. I'll always be watching. The only time I will stop watching professional wrestling is if I have to sacrifice to stop watching. And say, for example, if I get married to a woman in the near future and they say, hey, I think wrestling would be bad for the kids and everything like that, then yeah, I'm going to make that fucking sacrifice. I don't care. If someone thinks professional wrestling is bad for me, I will make that sacrifice. But the thing is, with wrestling, I can never really truly hate professional wrestling. I can come on here and rant and I can rave and I can be pissed off about pro wrestling. But at the end of the day, I still like watching wrestling. There's always still that little hope that something crazy will happen. Sure, the returns are nice, but sometimes you'll get that good match every once in a while that makes you feel like you're traveling back in time and you're seeing those epic wars that you remember as a kid and everything like that. There's always something that will draw me into professional wrestling. What I hate nowadays is that a lot of fans tend to professional wrestling and defend it way too much when we know that the product is bad, and it almost feels like a lot of fans are in denial. Now, I understand if you're a new fan that is getting into professional wrestling, you wouldn't think wrestling's all that bad. You just started watching. How can you think this shit is bad? It's always like that when you start watching something new. You always think it's the hot shit until later on you start hearing it from other people, and then you rewatch it, and then you realize it wasn't really all that good in the first place. I always hate the fact when fans make it seem like when you come on here on YouTube, you have to be positive about wrestling. You can't say anything negative about wrestling. Unless you're a channel that's dedicated to being negative about professional wrestling, you always have to be super positive about professional wrestling. You always have to care about it. You always have to talk about it in such a positive light. Unless you're one of those channels that don't do that. Because if you're one of those channels that like to shit on wrestling, no, you can shit on wrestling. But if you're someone that is actually fair and objective when you talk about professional wrestling, you have to be positive about it. It makes no sense to me. What's so bad about people pointing out the flaws in something you love? Don't you think if you're pointing out the flaws in something you love, that means you care about it? I mean, how many of y'all have been in relationships? Just a legit, real question. I just want to know. Because if you guys have been in relationships, you know not everything in your relationship is going to be fucking perfect. Yes, you're going to have those times where it just feels like, oh man, everything is just perfect in sync and everything like that. But not everything in your goddamn relationship is going to be perfect. You're going to have your arguments. That person that you love is going to have their flaws. So what is it about professional wrestling? Us as wrestling fans, we can't just accept their flaws. We can't accept it. We have to defend it. We can't keep defending professional wrestling like this. It's sickening to me how many people will defend the crap they will see on TV. And I've been guilty of this too throughout my many years of doing the YouTube. I've been guilty of defending professional wrestling for some of its bullshit. I have. But when it comes down to it, I'm just going to be real here. Sometimes you can't defend this shit. Sometimes it's so hard to defend what you see on your television sets week in and week out. And it all starts with one of the main problems why wrestling is now bad nowadays is because the WWE is bad. I hate when wrestling fans say this. Well, if you don't like WWE, you can watch this, this, and this, and this. Okay, here's the thing. So many of us grew up watching the WWE. So many of us grew up admiring the WWE and how the WWE works and everything like that. If the WWE is lacking on good quality, guess what? What makes us want to go out there and watch any other fucking wrestling? Tell me, why would I waste my time watching any other wrestling if the main show in town sucks? If the biggest show in town sucks, what makes me think that this all of a sudden I watch another product and it's going to be good? Oh, well, because WWE sucks and this one's good. How do you know it's good? You're comparing it to the main show in town all the time. You're saying that the main show in town sucks, and then all of a sudden this is good. Just because something looks good in a pile of shit doesn't mean it's good. I get this a lot from wrestling fans where they just try to defend wrestling. It's like, well, if WWE sucks, it doesn't matter because we still have this, this, and this, and this. So what? You have this, this, and this. It sounds like you have a pile of crap. That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why wrestling is bad nowadays, because the WWE is not giving you any intense, any good product for anyone to watch. I mean, people will tell you that NXT is good, but let's be real here. People only like NXT because it's only an hour long. That's one of the main reasons why. And you get 1 or 2 matches. You're not getting overbloated with all this other bullshit that the WWE likes to throw at you. That's the only reason why people like NXT. Same with the Cruiserweight Classic. Same with everything else. I mean, when it comes down to it, less is more. That's just how it is in life. Less is more. The less you see someone, the more you want them. That's just how it is. When you see someone every single fucking day, it's just kind of like whatever. But less is more when it comes down to it. And the thing is, when the biggest show in town sucks, then everything seems to topple. And that's like, you know, like it's like saying, like, if I watch the NBA, right, and I say the NBA sucks, some guy's like, then you should watch the D League. I ain't gonna go watch a fucking D League. If the pros in the NBA suck, why would I go watch the fucking D League? And I know that's like, oh, such a terrible way of thinking of it, but I'm sorry, it's true. A lot of people think like me. If the biggest show in town sucks, what makes me think any other thing is good? Seriously. I'm just being real here. But that's the main problem. And one of the main problems why WWE is failing nowadays is because they haven't been able to create any new stars or stars that are worth the damn. And anytime they do try to create a new star, they find a way to screw it up. They always find a way to screw up a new star. You know, they've been riding on the John Cena gravy train for too long. They realize that it's been too long riding on this train. I mean, just because you have John Cena at the helm doesn't mean that every single year you're going to make the playoffs. It's like an NFL team with a quarterback. Sure, the quarterback may have won them one Super Bowl, but then they realize that the quarterback is probably still just a mediocre piece of shit. But they still rely on that mediocre piece of shit because they're like, well, he won us a championship. What do you want us to do with him? That's what the WWE has done with John Cena, is that they used him up so much to the point where they just squeezed him and there's nothing left. I mean, don't get me wrong. John Cena is still a big star, still a big name. People still recognize him, especially with the whole meme thing exploding of him. But even then, WWE didn't even capitalize off like the John Cena memes or even the Randy Orton memes when they were popular. So when it comes down to it, John Cena, you know, they squeezed him out and they didn't really find any good successor for him. They never found someone that was worth the damn to take over his spot. And then later on, they show guys that could take over his spot, but then eventually their flaws start to show. All the flaws of those wrestlers start to show, and the fans, they don't seem to accept those wrestlers right away. That's what happens a lot of times with WWE when they try to create a new star. They either push someone way too fast to the point where fans are sick of them, or they wait when it's a little bit too late. And yeah, sure, the fans may still get that happiness because they're like, oh yeah, finally that guy got a shot. But guess what? At the end of the day, you're making less money off that investment. Sure, it took a while for that guy to become world champion, but guess what? You could have been making more money if that guy would have became world champion right away like that. Ever since, you know, they realized that John Cena, they had to move on from him, they haven't been able to replace him. And the thing is like nowadays you got a bunch of wrestlers, and really how many of these guys can you really trust to be really big stars for your company? Let's be real here. I'm a Roman Reigns fan, but I've been on record many times that saying Roman Reigns, he's not a star in any other era of wrestling, but in today's current era, in today's WWE, Roman Reigns is considered a star. Guys like Roman Reigns don't fall off the tree very often. You can see why guys in the WWE want to push this guy to be a top babyface. I mean, let's just be real here. How many of you guys can find a 6'4", 300-pound guy moves like a cruiserweight Samoan out of nowhere? That's like a hard thing to find, especially a good-looking dude like Roman Reigns. Like I always say to people, if you had to control the WWE and you didn't push Roman Reigns, you're a moron. And the reason why you're a moron if you don't push a guy like Roman Reigns is because this guy has it all to be a top star, to be a guy that can freaking transition to the casual audience, which the WWE can't bring in nowadays. They can't bring in casual fans like they used to. They're stuck with the same hardcore internet wrestling fans like myself and like the people who comment on my YouTube videos and the people who make YouTube videos. Those are the only real people that care about freaking goddamn wrestling nowadays is us. It's not the casuals, but Roman Reigns can bring that. But the problem is the people that are going to the shows are the hardcore fans. It's no WWE. Back in like 2000, I can tell you this for a fact. If I had an extra ticket to a WWE event and I invited someone who wasn't a wrestling fan to that event, guess what? More than likely they would want to come in a heartbeat. You know how hard it is if I have extra tickets to a wrestling event for nowadays to have freaking people try to come to these events? It's hard. It really is hard unless you try to hype them up about it. You know, I'm a good hype man. I'm able to hype up wrestling like it's the greatest thing on earth. But when it comes down to it, if the show doesn't deliver, that's just how it is. And with Roman Reigns, it's just like this guy can be a star. This guy can be, you know, a big-time main eventer. But it's so hard when someone's trying to watch Raw and this guy comes out and he's getting booed. You know how hard it is for someone to sit there and watch episode of Raw and you think Roman Reigns is supposed to be this nice, good guy, and all of a sudden he comes out and the fans are booing him? It's because the hardcore fans are like, this is not the guy we want. We want someone else. And the problem is WWE doesn't realize that, hey, right now, these are our fan base. Whether we like it or not, we have to cater to them some way, somehow, but also get ours at the end of the day. And they could have easily done that with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and had it where they pushed Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose first to the levels of them becoming world champions and then go to Roman Reigns further down the line to the point where fans wouldn't be so upset with Roman Reigns getting a world title. If they would have just said, hey, let's just go down with Seth Rollins. Let's just go with freaking Dean Ambrose. Let's go with them first. Let's build them up to be quote-unquote stars. Then we can go to the Roman Reigns well, and guess what? Fans won't be bitching about it because what do you have to bitch about? WWE pushed your guys. You have nothing to cry or bitch about. They've been pushing Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose down our freaking throats. It's about damn time they give it to someone like Roman Reigns who can help transition. Because as much as people want to talk about Seth Rollins, it's so hard for people, for casuals, to get into a guy like Seth Rollins. It really is. Because when you look at Seth Rollins, his character makes no fucking sense. It really makes no sense. Let's look at Seth Rollins' character from an arc point. Even though he doesn't really have a character. None of these wrestlers have characters. But look at Seth Rollins. He was like, what, the third member of the Shield at best. You know, yeah, sure, the most talented wrestler in the Shield. But let's be real here. He was the third member of the Shield at best. All of a sudden, he turns heel. And, you know, he's winning matches on his own when he was like a singles heel. He wins the world title. And then he needs help from everyone just to keep the world title. And then later on, he can have a very competitive match with John Cena, and he needs help to beat John Cena. I mean, how can you look at Seth Rollins and say this character makes sense, especially now that he turned face? It's like, oh, he can beat Jericho and Owens on his own with all these distractions. It's like, no, what the hell? You make no sense with this character. Seth Rollins, when you watch Seth Rollins wrestle, he looks like he can handle himself on his own. He looks like he can take care of anyone on his own. But then you have it where it's like near the end of the match, like Seth Rollins needs help from Jamie Noble just so that way he can win. That makes no sense. You realize how much you hurt the Seth Rollins character? A lot of people will be like, oh, well, he's a heel. That's what you're supposed to do. Not every heel needs help. Like, the reason why Triple H was such an effective heel was that Triple H didn't always need help. And if he did need help, it was his trusty sledgehammer that helped him. It wasn't like he had X-Pac and Road Dogg every single time. I mean, because it makes no sense. How are you going to have someone wrestle a 20-minute match where it looks like he can hold his own, and then all of a sudden, boom, bam, that's it? How's that going to help? I mean, let's be real here. How's that going to help Seth Rollins in the near future? Dean Ambrose the same way. WWE ruined a lot of their young talent and a lot of their young stars because they didn't push the right guys right away. Were they the right guys at the time? Absolutely. You know, there's a time and a place for everything. As the ghost opens my damn door, we have the Santa Ana winds falling over here in California, so that door is going to open up as much as you want. Hold on, let me go close it. Freaking ghosts and shit. I'm afraid of ghosts in real life. Low key, not gonna lie, fucking hate ghosts and everything like that. But anyways, back to what I was saying. It's just hard for a lot of people who aren't wrestling fans to get into professional wrestling. It just is. It just is. And when you have it where a lot of fans can't get into it, because like you can have it where hardcore fans can watch wrestling easily. People who used to watch wrestling watch today's product a little bit easier. But if you try to show someone that isn't a wrestling fan wrestling, do you show them any current stuff? Let's be real here. How many current stuff have you shown your friends that aren't wrestling fans? If you do show your friends wrestling at all. I don't show any of my friends stuff from past 2008. I'll tell you that for a fact. I show them mostly promos from past 2008 because some of the promos are entertaining more than the matches themselves. My go-to match to show people is Rock and Hogan. That's because a lot of people still get emotion from what I can tell when Hogan starts hulking up on the fucking Rock. Today's wrestling, it's hard to freaking show to people. Today's wrestling makes no freaking sense. Today's wrestling is just stupid. I'm being real here. It's just stupid. I'm someone, and I know it's rare, that doesn't like freaking in-ring all the time. I'm not the biggest in-ring guy in the whole world. I know that's hard on the YWC for someone to come in that isn't a big in-ring guy, but I'm not. I'm honestly not that big of an in-ring wrestling guy. That's just me. I'm sorry if you guys are big in-ring guys and that's what gets you by, but that's just me. In-ring doesn't do it for me. Just because someone can wrestle a good 5-star match, I don't care. Honestly with you. Don't get me wrong, there's some really good matches that I will agree with to the IWC to some extent that they were really good. But when someone tries to prove to me that, oh, Chase, you had to like that match. No, I'm not going to like every freaking match you like. I like matches with story, drama, intensity, where I feel and care about the characters. Not where it's just like, oh, wow, I can't believe that this guy did a Pele kick into a fucking somersault 360 into a super kick, a double super kick. It's like, who cares? I don't care. That doesn't get me into wrestling. Got me wrestling was the characters and the storylines and so on and so forth. Don't get me wrong. I had that phase in my life. I had that phase when I was watching professional wrestling back in like 2007 when I was like, oh, yeah, in-ring's all that matters. But nowadays, I'm like, fuck, man, I hate in-ring. I mean, seriously, that's why like Miz and Ziggler. I fucking love that match. Why? There was actually a story in it. The story carried the match for me. I didn't care if the action was any good. The story was cool. A couple years ago, I can't believe I'm saying a couple years ago or a year ago. Yeah, a year ago. Reigns and Lesnar. I love that match. I can go back and watch Reigns and Lesnar any day of the fucking week. Why? Because the story was good in that match. You had this unknown Samoan badass taking on the freaking beast incarnate Brock Lesnar for the WWE World title, and Brock Lesnar suplexing this freaking Samoan badass is like, ugh. But nowadays, wrestling is just bad. It's just we don't get that anymore. We don't get anything exciting. Like, we'll get it once in a blue moon. I mean, really, to be honest, the only thing I get excited about is if one of my favorite wrestlers win a title. That's like the most thing to get excited about. It's like, yeah, one of my favorites finally won a world title. But then afterwards, you either bitch about the title reign not being as good as you thought it was. That's just what happens. You just go, oh, man, that title reign was trash. How many times have you guys been happy for someone to win a world title, and then all of a sudden you sat there and been like, man, that title reign was trash? So, yeah, when it comes down to it. And, you know, it's funny, too, like I said before, if WWE is not doing well, that means the other wrestling companies are not doing well. That means the other wrestling companies are not that enjoyable to watch, because as much as you want to force feed me that Impact Wrestling is fucking good, let's just be real here. Impact Wrestling does a lot of dumb dick things. They may have that glimmer of hope that is Broken Matt Hardy, that it is an actual fucking character, that is actually entertaining to freaking watch. But really, to be honest here, TNA still does a lot of dumb dick moves that make you say, why the fuck did they do this? And don't give me this, oh, well, they build for their weekly shows, Chase. I don't give a fuck. Their weekly shows are all the same. Stupid matches that make no fucking sense. Stupid matches that don't really lead to anywhere. That's what TNA is. I already know I'm going to get disliked because the TNA bots are going to freaking come here and be like, oh, my TNA insults are freaking triggering. Look, if you like TNA, that's good. But really, to be honest, TNA sucks for the most part. And I don't want to hear any TNA fans be like, oh, well, you are defending WWE. What the fuck? Didn't you just hear my last 30 minutes of me destroying WWE, saying how much that sucked? How dumb they are? TNA is just as bad. You know, it's not because of the company going under and all that other shit. I honestly sit there and sometimes wonder, are just fans just tired of WWE and they're trying to find a reasoning or a defense mechanism that, oh, I watch wrestling because TNA is good. That's the reason why I watch wrestling, is this company right here. No! It sucks still. I mean, you have Lashley go on and have this great match with EC3, have Bound for Glory, that makes a whole lot of sense, to have him lose to Eddie fucking Edwards. I don't care if it's like, oh, well, it's supposed to be a surprise, Chase. The fuck? What kind of surprise was this? I didn't like this surprise. I didn't want this surprise. Who cares? Eddie Edwards is boring. Oh my God. E-Border said best, thank God for Goldberg to shed some light. He even said there's not enough superheroes in this new sissy era. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know it's bad when Goldberg is like one of the hottest scenes in wrestling. Let's be real here. I love Goldberg. I'm not trying to say Goldberg's trash or anything like that. But seriously, Goldberg, we should not be this excited for him. We should not be excited for Goldberg coming in and trying to save us from this shit. Like, it'd be different if, like, wrestling was good and you're adding Goldberg as an extra caveat. But you're not. You're just like, oh, well, we need Goldberg really, really fucking bad. I mean, you know it's bad when we needed Sting a couple years ago. We needed freaking Sting to say professional wrestling. The guy who was wearing T-shirts in TNA, we needed him to come to the WWE. I'm just trying to say, man, a lot of wrestling's bad and hard to watch. Ring of Honor's trash. They're living off shit that New Japan did, and they're not even doing a good job off of it. Oh, the Bullet Club, for life, or some shit. New Japan. Look, they have some talented dudes like Kenny Omega and Tanahashi and Okada and a bunch of other guys that I can name off a list. A lot of good guys there. But you're having it where it's just like, who cares? They just wrestle matches. If I want to see someone wrestle a match, I can go tune into any other wrestling product. Lucha Underground. I love the production that Lucha Underground brings. Don't get me wrong. I think the way Lucha Underground produces stuff is really, really good. But when it comes down to it, as a wrestling show, the Lucha style is so hard for people to get into because it looks so fake. The Lucha style is the most freaking choreographed type of wrestling out there. Like, don't get me wrong. I love professional wrestling. I like what professional wrestling can bring in me in emotions and everything like that. Because like when it comes down to it, when it comes to real life sports and everything like that, you know, sometimes you don't get the outcome you want. And they can't change it. It's not like professional wrestling where they can have it where there's some screw job or some reasoning why this person won. Professional wrestling can do that. Sometimes it can deliver the emotions that your real life sports can't bring. Because your real life sports team will let you down. Your real life sports team will make you cry. Your real life sports team can sometimes have great moments that feel like they're fake. But guess what? The WWE, they can do that on a consistent basis. They can have those moments that make you, and wrestling in general can have those moments that make you feel like, holy shit, this is amazing. But instead, it's like they don't do that. They just kind of waste their time. I'm tired of always having feel like I'm getting my time wasted. The reason why mostly I don't really upload or do a lot of live streams when it comes to wrestling related stuff is that Like, it's not that I'm burnt out talking about wrestling. There to talk about. What is there interesting to talk about? I give credit to guys that find a way to see the positive light in professional wrestling, guys or girls, that find the positive light in wrestling. That takes a lot of thinking power. That takes a lot of commitment. But it's just so hard for me to sit here and want to say that wrestling overall is good or growing, because it really isn't. Wrestling isn't growing as a sport or entertainment for a lot of people. Because I can tell you right now, if I had a WrestleMania party and I invited, let's say, my work. Now, obviously, not everyone can come because they all would be scheduled shifts or whatever. But let's say I invited people who weren't scheduled. I'm pretty sure the only people that would come are people who are either A, they're really good friends with me and they trust me and everything, so they're going to come regardless, or B, the people who used to watch wrestling. I think anyone who's not a wrestling fan is not going to come over to watch WrestleMania, no matter how much of a spectacle it is. Just when it comes down to it, wrestling is just bad nowadays. It's just so hard to watch. It's just so hard. And what I'm tired of people defending it. You don't have to defend this sport. The sport can defend itself. The sport has its own moments to defend. And I'm tired of fans always having to come on here with their riot shields thinking they have to defend this sport, thinking they have to say something for the sport. Because ultimately, what is the sport going to give you? It's not going to give you anything. It really isn't. I know that sounds like, oh, Chase, you're being too negative and thinking negatively, but really, to be honest, what are they going to give you? They may give you that oddball, oh, my guy won the title moment, but on a consistent basis, what is it going to give you? I mean, let's be real here. What is it going to give you? How many of you guys are wrestling fans and you don't really like talking wrestling? Look, I'm one of those rare exceptions. People find out I'm a wrestling fan. I talk wrestling with people. I don't care. I honestly don't care if people make fun of me that I'm a fucking wrestling fan. Who cares? If you care that people know you're going to be a wrestling fan, then why are you watching it? So, yeah. Red Wolf asked, do you think indie fans are part of the reason why wrestling is sucking? I don't think it's mostly. I think, see, some fans are to blame for why wrestling is bad nowadays. There's other reasons too, especially from the business aspect, which I haven't even gotten into yet in this video, why wrestling is bad. But some fans are to blame for the reason why wrestling is bad because they always feel like they know what's better. See, the problem with indie fans is they have like a narrow track mind. A lot of wrestling fans do have this narrow track mind. They have like closed vision. They can only see what's in front of them, but they never turn their head to look this way or turn their head to look that way and see, some other guys who are struggling and other people who are not doing so good in the business. They always like to look in their tunnel vision. They only have the tunnel vision of they know what's best. When quite frankly, if you listen to a lot of indie fans, they seem like they would book like probably the worst things. I'm not going to lie. Something that I like to do and I like to laugh at, I like to look online who makes these stupid fantasy cards, and I laugh at most of these fantasy cards. To me, they just seem stupid, dumbass things. I get it, the word fantasy's thrown in here, but guess what? It's stupid most of the time. I don't want to see Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins in an Iron Man match. Why would I care for that? All the internet wrestling fans have done is just like started a cult following. And no, I'm not trying to be different from the norm. This is how I've always think. I've always been this way. It's like, it's always so funny when people are like, oh, you're just trying to counteract with what is popular. No. If that was the case, I wouldn't be an AJ Styles fan. And people consider AJ Styles to be the best wrestler in the world, including me, dumbasses. So how am I being counterculture by saying I'm an AJ Styles fan? That will never fucking change. So it's like, when it comes down to it, how am I being counterculture again? I like my fair share of vanilla midgets. I do. I'm not just some raging muscle mark, and maybe because I defend Roman Reigns more than anyone else because the guy's actually fucking talented. But when it comes down to it, internet fans, all they have done is just make fans kind of sick of wrestling and embarrassed of wrestling, to be honest with you. I wouldn't say they made wrestling bad. I feel like more it's like a corporate wrestling being too corporate is another reason why wrestling is so bad nowadays, because WWE is all about returning the money on their investment and pleasing stockholders, because when you're a publicly traded company, that's what you need to do. You need to please the stockholders. You need to show them the results. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever worked retail before or a retail job, but when you work a retail job, one of the big things that they tell you is, hey, make sure you guys get the warranty. Make sure you guys offer them the gift card, the credit card, and everything like that. You may not want to do that, but guess what? Your job depends on it. Your hours depend on it. If you want more hours at whatever retail job you're working at, guess what, motherfucker? You better be promoting that freaking gift card. You better be promoting that goddamn warranty, even if the thing doesn't even need a warranty. You could have it where someone's buying chapstick, and you'd be like, you want a warranty on that chapstick? Well, guess what? You're asking because that's part of your job as a retail associate. You want it so that way when you're done and you clock out and the managers are doing their crunching numbers at the end of the night, guess what? They see, oh shit, look at what Chase did. Chase actually sold 5 warranties and 4 gift cards today and 3 credit cards. We should give Chase more hours. That's what WWE does with the stock. It's like, so that way people can keep buying their goddamn stock. It's like, well, look at the numbers we produced. WWE is all about producing numbers now. They don't have any long-term thinking or long-term booking. It's easy for fans to come on here and say, why don't they just do what they did back in the 80s? They can't. They can't do what they did back in the 80s because they have freaking people to impress. They have stockholders to impress. They have people that are invested in their company with a bunch of freaking money. So they can't just have it where they can say, well, let's wait on Roman Reigns. Let's do this, because they have to rush shit. That's the only way they get the return of their investment. Like I said, if you've ever worked retail before, ever worked a retail job, you would know that that's one of the main things that people want you to do. Even when you work at a food industry. When you want that tip, what do you have to do? Be a good server. You want to show results. Now, being a server is different than working at a retail job. If anything, being a server is like being a professional wrestler. You get abused to work there for so many hours and do a bunch of crazy ass shit. And at the end of the day, you probably don't get paid jack shit. But when it comes down to it, you got to show results. And that's the problem nowadays. WWE always has to show results. So which means they don't end up doing well. And why a lot of wrestling fans look at the numbers and always crunch the numbers is because, you know, fans are like, why is it that we have to always bring up the business aspect of wrestling and talk about the ratings and everything like that? It's because the company itself talks about the freaking ratings. They're downplaying it now. It's because they're embarrassed by it. But back then, back in like Monday Night Wars and everything like that, they would always talk about the ratings. The ratings were like a big deal and a big importance. Sure, to a lot of people who watch wrestling and a lot of the people inside the business, ratings don't fucking matter. But guess what? They matter to a lot of fans because that's what we've been told that matters. That's what we've been told. So sorry that some wrestling fans like to look at it from the business aspect and say, this is what's best for business or whatever. This is what helps the company. They like to look at the fucking numbers. They look at that. It's because we've been freaking tracked in our minds to think like that. Fans don't seem to understand. That's what some fans don't seem to understand. It's like, that's why people look into the numbers so much. It's like, Jesus, man. What else do we have to look forward to? Ratings do matter. Viewers do matter. Just because a company acts like it doesn't matter doesn't mean shit. Because eventually, business is business. It's a business first and foremost. How many times have you seen the wrestlers call it the business? They don't call it a sport. They don't call it entertainment. They call it the business. Why? Because they're in there to make money. If you're not in there to make money, then what are you doing there in the first place? Redbull316 asks, do you hate the fact that we have a lack of big guys in wrestling? Yes. I'm seeing too many vanilla midgets getting into the big of opportunities they would have never gotten 15 to 20 years ago. I mean, we need a good variety of wrestlers, but yeah, there's way too many vanilla midgets. Exactly, Flame Gaming TV. Any wrestling show is a TV show, and with every TV show, ratings matter, and keep it on air. I hate the bullshit streaming on demand, Hulu, Netflix, and viewers argument. Yes, exactly. That's another thing. Many shows put their shows on Hulu, Netflix, and everything like that because a lot of people don't have TV. And it's not because, oh, TV is dying. Guess what? People's money are dying. People don't make enough money to have cable TV. I can guarantee you, if you were to tell someone, hey, would you rather have cable TV or have just Netflix and Hulu? Sure, there's going to be some people that say Netflix and Hulu and everything like that. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people want cable TV because with cable TV, some people like actually enjoying watching the show live. Some people actually enjoy commercials. Just because you don't enjoy commercials or anything like that doesn't mean someone doesn't. And when it comes down to it, cable TV, you can watch certain things or certain shows that don't get aired on Netflix or Hulu. You have to go find on YouTube. Some of them are just cable TV shows. Cable TV is important. And the thing is, it's not because like, oh, Netflix and Hulu, those are the reasons why. No, it's because people's money is dying. Not a lot of people make enough money. Like, here's the thing. A lot of people don't seem to understand. This ain't the 90s anymore. Some people get stuck in this mindset that it's the 90s. And especially like people in my generation of growing up and stuff, some people just don't understand that it's okay to live at home. I still do. Now I help around the house. I do pay my bills. You know, it's not like I'm mooching off my mom for free. I still pay shit. But guess what? It's so hard. It's hard for people to go out there. I know so many people that have graduated college. And guess what they're doing? They're not working with their degrees. Some people are lucky. Some people get connections that help them out in the future. But guess what? There ain't many people with connections. If you don't have the biggest thing in life is always to have connections. It doesn't matter who it is. Always have connections. Always keep connections with people. Even if you feel like the person is going to be a loser in the future, always have connections with someone because you never know what opportunities can come apart. You never know. It's always good to keep good connections or keep connections in general. Because for all you know, maybe that friend one day all of a sudden, hey, they offer you a job at their firm or something. And it's like, you know, people don't make enough money to be able to pay for cable bills. The whole Netflix and Hulu viewers argument is for the people that freaking are living on their own. They don't have enough for this goddamn TV. They honestly don't. So they have to go to Hulu and Netflix somehow. It's being real here. Size matters in the world of wrestling. Remember, Zeus was a monster when he pecked down Hogan. Yeah. I mean, you got to have some size because you can't believe, like, the thing about wrestling, it's like wrestling is not divided by divisions like the UFC where it's like, well, this guy's fighting another 145-pounder. You know, it's like size does matter in wrestling. Size gets people to say, hey, I want to be like this guy when I grow up. Nowadays, a lot of the guys that want to be wrestlers were guys that couldn't ever be wrestlers. Like, I could be a wrestler if I wanted to. I feel like a lot of people would actually like me, though, because I actually can carry myself as a character. Not much in the in-ring product of the things. I think I would suck at that. But I think a lot of people would like me as a character and say, oh, wow, Chase is a good character. But, yeah. I hate that argument, too, Red Flame Gaming TV. Oh, what, Netflix and Hulu? Shut the fuck up. Because people don't have money for cable TV. I guarantee you, if people have money for cable TV, they'll buy in a heartbeat. There's too much good stuff on TV, man. Netflix and Hulu don't provide everything. Ugh, any more wrestling questions? You guys are more than welcome to ask questions. I think I've gone on enough why I think wrestling is bad nowadays. I think I've gotten a good grasp, but I hope you guys can understand why I think wrestling is bad nowadays and stuff like that. And you guys can bring up other thoughts too, and I'll read the best ones. If WWE was like UFC in divisions, most of the wrestlers would be in welterweight or middleweight division. Yeah, exactly. And they would have to cut weight to that division too. They're just fine. It's not that big of a deal, but like Ebor says, size doesn't matter. What did Red Wolf say? Yeah, lack of big guys. Oh, God, wrestling. Wrestling gives me a headache, too, nowadays, too. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes when I talk about wrestling, I just get a headache. It's just like a head pounds. It's like bum, 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 bum. That's why I have to take a day, because that's why I take a day sometimes to review pay-per-views, because I'm just like, oh man, I gotta take a day. I gotta take a break from this. Because I can't just keep coming on here always talking about it right away. You guys should know I honestly don't care about. I'm not one of those YouTubers that care about the views or anything like that. I just do YouTube as a hobby. This is something I like to do as for fun. So it's not like, oh, views are that important. One day WWE will wake up, hopefully. They won't though, Red Blue Knight. They're too busy stuck in their bubble. Is there such thing as a vanilla giant? Yes, there is. It's a big wrestler that's really boring. See Garbage Man. Those wrestlers are vanilla giants. Just because they're big doesn't mean you have to push them. They need to fire these Hollywood writers they have for Raw and SmackDown and hire wrestling people. Hire Raven as a writer for Raw. He gets the business. Yeah, wrestling people, and then also people that know how to do live shows. It's not just hiring wrestling people, because wrestling people sometimes feel like they know the business but get stuck in the past. You got to hire people that actually know how to do live shows, not guys that are known to writing a script for a TV show. You need guys that actually know how to work, or guys or girls that know how to write for actually live entertainment, like plays, theater, opera, so on and so forth. Those guys could help, because then they can help people to speak in certain situations that are live. Chris Bandicoot, this is talking about wrestling. This is not asking about WWE 2K 18, 19, 20, 22, 25. I don't give a fuck about WWE 2K right now. Do you read the title of the video? Does this say, oh, open Q&A about WWE 2K 18 or 19, whatever the fuck it is nowadays? No. How do you think WWE should have gotten with Batista 2 years? Should have given him the title. I know everyone's going to be upset with Daniel Bryan, but think about it. Daniel Bryan hurt his neck in that Kane match. He never had that match with Kane. Daniel Bryan's neck would have never got hurt. So I would just have it where you give him Batista the title. Do indie fans know what storytelling is? Some degree, yeah. I think some indie fans kind of get what storytelling is. They're just caught in the whole hoopla of all these crazy moves that they just feel like the moves are the most important thing. I think they understand some essence of storytelling, but at the same time, I feel like to them, a lot of storytelling is other things. Heidenreich is, yes, a vanilla giant. Daniel Bryan's the last guy to me that could have taken Cena's place. Daniel Bryan was never a guy that could have been a top star. Daniel Bryan is a good piece to help your top star, but he's not a guy to be a top star. There's a difference. What are your thoughts on Sasha Banks and Charlotte might main event Hell in a Cell? I gave my thoughts on that already. We're kind of trying to stay on the topic of why wrestling is bad nowadays. No, this is not really an open Q&A type of deal, but good for the women. They're getting the main event. Hope the match turns out well. If they don't really do anything inside the Hell in a Cell, then why put it in the cell in the first place? And hashtag Golden Children rule type of deal. So yeah. Why do you guys think wrestling is bad? I didn't really get to read the comments because I was going on my soapbox. But why do you guys think wrestling is bad? Why do you think nowadays it's so hard to watch wrestling and get fans and friends into wrestling? What are your reasonings why you think wrestling is bad nowadays? I really want to know. It just sucks, period. Top star? No, Daniel Bryan's not really a top star. You wouldn't build your company around a guy like Daniel Bryan. Sure, he's an everyman type of wrestler, but yeah, he's not really a guy that I would build my company around, like maybe for a year, but that's about it. Do you think WWE want to be like an NFL in some aspects? Asked by Big Mike. To some degree, yeah, they want to be like the NFL, the enterprise, the greatest show on turf, the greatest show in the ring and everything like that. But the thing is, they don't deliver like the NFL. The NFL can somewhat deliver, even though the product of the NFL this year has been pretty bad and somewhat unwatchable, especially when it comes to primetime games. Let's be real here. When's the last time we got a good primetime game? I mean, they do what the NFL does. They're always consistent, the NFL, with who's going to make the playoffs and everything like that. But when it comes down to it, the NFL sometimes just doesn't deliver when it comes to a Sunday night matchup, Monday night matchup, or even Thursday night matchups, which are the matchups that a lot of casual fans will go tune in and see because it's like, oh, there's nothing on TV. Oh, look, the football game's on. I'll go check it out. And they see the score and they see the teams and they're like, why am I watching this shit? Like, seriously, they put Green Bay and Chicago this week for tomorrow for Thursday night football. It's like, why would you want to sit there and watch Thursday night football? That seems like a waste of time. Do wrestling apologists make you want to hate wrestling sometimes? Oh, yeah, absolutely. People who try to defend wrestling and apologize for it make me hate it. It's just like, God damn, stop it. You don't need to apologize for it. I mean, seriously. You don't need to apologize for wrestling. Wrestling ain't going to do shit for you in the long run. Lack of characters to focus on in the ring work, says Joe James. That's a good one. E-Border says too much flips and kicks and not enough DDTs and power bombs. Yeah, there is too much clicks and flips. Plus, Chase, one guy doesn't build a company. Yep. It takes multiple guys like in the Attitude Era, which had a bunch of stars. I mean, really, let's be real here. Like, how many guys are stars in today's era? How do you think they should have gotten with the Dudley Boys, says Clayton Carl? With the Dudley Boys, at least give them one tag team strap. Maybe separate and have Bubba Ray be Bully Ray. That's what I would do. Not build your company. He would be a guy you have in the upper top six that carried your company because of a bunch of Cena had a guy. He had Edge, Orton, Batista help him carry the load. Yeah, that's what I'm saying with Daniel Bryan. That's what he would do with him. Not make him my guy, though. I wouldn't make Daniel Bryan my guy, but I would have it where he's there to help Roman. For sure. For me, it's hard to get into anyone in WWE because a good portion of the roster is made to look like losers. Exactly. That's another point I didn't really bring up. How much losers is just in the WWE that just make you want to care? Because like there's a guy like Bray Wyatt. Like, let's be real here. If there's one wrestler currently on the roster today that you can show people and they could probably get behind or find interesting or even find cool, it's Bray Wyatt. Like, you show someone Bray Wyatt's entrance. I'm sorry. I don't care what I have said about Bray Wyatt in the past. I've actually said this in a couple of videos. I see Bray Wyatt's entrance, I get goosebumps. I've been live for Bray Wyatt's entrance. It's cool as fuck. You know how excited I am talking about Bray Wyatt's entrance? I mean, holy shit, you just show people the whole thing, like the and then he goes, we're here. And it's just like boom, 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 boom. And you just see the lights moving around and stuff like that. You see him coming out and everything like that. His theme song fits. You're just wondering, what the fuck is this guy going to do? And then you see the guy actually do shit and he's like a loser. I mean, dude, I'm telling you right now, one of my favorite promos in the past few years was that Legacy John Cena and Bray Wyatt promo. Oh my, Bray Wyatt killed it in that goddamn promo. It was like, your heroes, children, they always win. And when he wins, you cheer. But when they fall, they go down. It's like, oh my God. Go and watch that Legacy promo. I know I probably butchered most of it, but fuck, dude. When you watch that promo, you say to yourself, Bray Wyatt is a main event star. That's what you say when you watch that dang promo. Bray Wyatt is probably one of the few wrestlers that you can show to people. They can think he's cool. They can think he's interesting. They will have some interest. They will actually want to see what he does. But nowadays, it's just like with Bray Wyatt, they don't do anything cool with him. They don't do anything where it's just so hard to make you want to cheer for the guy because they make him such a fucking loser. I said this in my No Mercy review, and I'll say it again. The way Bray Wyatt wins makes him just as much as a bigger loser than he loses. Bray Wyatt loses in the most spectacular ways. They find a way to make Bray Wyatt lose in ways that are just like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. But when he wins, they find a way to make it even more pathetic. You're just like, really? That's how Bray Wyatt won? I mean, let's be real here. Bray Wyatt, honestly should be a one-time WWE World Champ. Honestly, Bray Wyatt, I shouldn't have to make fun of him every week. When I used to do actual reviews where I would film and do editing processes, I shouldn't have had a character where I turned off the lights and talked in the Bray Wyatt voice and making fun of him. I should think Bray Wyatt is cool. I should be able to say, you know what? This guy's awesome. But no, nowadays I'm just sitting there like, why? Why do they even waste their time with Bray Wyatt? Just saying, man. Bray Wyatt should be a star. Bray Wyatt should be someone that is easy for wrestling fans to get to, even casual fans. Because Bray Wyatt screams cool to me. Bray Wyatt screams main eventer, big star. But guess what? WWE doesn't treat Bray Wyatt like he's a main eventer or a big star. WWE likes to treat Bray Wyatt like the biggest loser on planet Earth. Because I can tell you, I could probably show people Bray Wyatt promos and everything like that, and then people will probably be like, oh, man, this guy must be pretty good. And then I go, well, yeah. Just to be real here. Vince not admitting WWE beat him and wants to make everything his creation. Yep. Vince never wants to admit that. What would be the type of character you want to see in the WWE? Type of character. I want more badass characters, less underdogs, characters that you can relate to, but not too much, because wrestlers are supposed to be people you inspire to be, but characters that you can kind of live through. And what I mean is that, like, you can live through them and you wish you could be them, but you're not going to ever be them. But it's fun to just live through them and kind of be like, man, these guys are awesome. Like Stone Cold. One of the reasons why Stone Cold was so successful was the fact that he could beat up his boss. He could get away with it. How many people in their lives just want to go in there one day, Stone Cold Stunner their boss that pisses them off a lot, and just freaking grab some beers and start drinking them on the job? I mean, seriously, that's what makes Stone Cold. A lot of people like Stone Cold Steve Austin because you couldn't beat up your boss, but you could pretend you were Stone Cold Steve Austin, and you could pretend that you could beat up the boss you didn't like. That's what made Stone Cold so over. That's what made Stone Cold so cool. That's what made Stone Cold so likable. Characters that I can live through some way, somehow. You know, I have it where it's like, oh man, dude, this underdog, dude, I feel bad for him. It's like, dude, I feel bad for a lot of people in life. But just because I feel bad for people doesn't mean I always want them to succeed. Sometimes some people just have a rough go at life. I mean, if I'm close with them, then yeah, I want them to succeed. I want them to be happy and everything like that. But if I'm barely close with the dude, why should I care? Now, I have nothing that relates to Daniel Bryan that made me want to see Daniel Bryan succeed on his journey. Because to me, it was like Chris Benoit and Daniel Bryan. I always said the difference between Benoit and Daniel Bryan's story, because everyone wanted to compare Daniel Bryan to Benoit for whatever dumb dick reason, was that Chris Benoit worked his ass off to get to that point. I can relate and live through Chris Benoit, especially now that I'm older and knowing what the fuck that's like. But you can get behind Benoit, the guy that the blue collar guy just trying to freaking get his shot. Damn it, Daniel Bryan Daniel Bryan got his shot and he won. Story's over. Sorry, he won at SummerSlam, but he got screwed. Chase, you gotta feel bad for that. So what? I get screwed. Your friend gets screwed. Your neighbor got screwed. Your kid got screwed. Guess what? That happens. Why should I feel bad? Like, you know what I'm saying? Why should I feel bad? Benoit, it wasn't like Benoit beat Angle for the WWE World Championship and then Angle had some Team Angle magic and won the title right back. No, it was like Benoit tried his hardest against Kurt Angle at the Royal Rumble 2003. He failed. But throughout that whole year, it was like Benoit was working and 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 working to become the world champion. And you got behind that. You were like, man, dude, you see how hard this motherfucker is working to get to this spot. This guy's putting in the effort. This guy's putting in the work. It made you want to see him succeed. Benoit wasn't like an underdog where it's like, oh, you got to feel bad for this dude. Benoit was the underdog in the fact that this guy worked his ass off and you felt like he deserved it. And he did it through the TV screen of the WWE, not through the independents where a lot of fans be like, oh, you deserve it. No, Benoit deserved it because that motherfucker went through hell and high water to get to that world title shot. I was alive for the Chris Benoit thing. I was freaking he was the only reason why I would watch SmackDown in 2003 was Chris Benoit. Was he a great world champion? Absolutely fucking not. But god damn it, dude. If you were alive during that Benoit story, you know what I'm talking about. Just seeing Benoit go through the ringer of just trying to show that he belongs. It wasn't like feel sorry for Benoit. No, Benoit was a tough motherfucker. Never made excuses, never did anything. Just saying. But yeah, and you guys know I hate Chris Benoit, but I'll give him that. His world title chase is one of my favorite things ever. Everyone always tries to compare Daniel Bryan and Chris Benoit. Why? Why are you comparing them? I really don't want to see the Cruiserweight class anymore, nor the Women's Revolution with Sasha Banks as champion. Nothing with her character or style of wrestling is intriguing, in my opinion. That is. Yeah. Vince being out of touch of what is cool. Of course, Vince has never know what cool is. How do you think the WWE will get with Bobby Roode? Push him, but not really do anything without it, doing anything with him. Yeah, soap opera writers are pretty bad. She is more genetically superior. Check out video Cormier and Rumble. Who deserves the belt? Very impressed by these two men. Did you make a video, Shark Teeth? I'll check it out in the near future. When do you think Samoa Joe will be on the freaking main roster whenever he's done helping these NXT kids? Do you think guys like Rude, Joe, and Nakamura will get over the casual audience? Nakamura, I think, will get over the casual audience, believe it or not. You know, I like Nakamura more than a lot of other NXT guys, that's for sure. I feel he has just this natural charisma to him that can draw people. He's interesting. The way he comes out and dances and everything. A lot of people like to mock and make fun of it. But I think a lot of casual fans can get behind him in some way, shape, or form. I feel the way he wrestles is a little bit hard to get used to, but it's simple enough. Nakamura, I feel, has adjusted his style very, very well, where it's simple enough for where a lot of casuals can get behind it. Bobby Roode, I think, can get over with the casuals because he has a good theme song. Samoa Joe, not so much, but Joe would be more one of those guys that you want to succeed just because he's a hardcore darling. Yeah, there's too many crowds being smarky for their own good. Sometimes the crowd likes to get themselves over and not the wrestlers over. Chris Benoit at least looked tough, unlike most of these little midgets. Amen to that. Big E versus Roman Reigns has to main event a WrestleMania. It's a classic waiting to happen. I agree with you, Weston. I'm not disagreeing. Also, Vince McMahon micromanages over things in WWE, including storylines of wrestlers. Triple H have to put some input, but not the whole product himself. Yeah. Nakamura is a dude that could be a huge star. Dude goes off with the vibe that he's a big deal. Yeah, exactly. Like, Nakamura carries himself like a big deal. And, you know, people are going to be like, oh, all he is a vanilla midget. Shinsuke Nakamura is like 6'2". Shinsuke Nakamura is a pretty big dude. I mean, Shinsuke Nakamura is not a joke when it comes down to it. I mean, when it comes down to Shinsuke Nakamura, that guy is legit to some degree. That's why when everyone's all talking about Seth Rollins and Triple H at WrestleMania, I'm saying, no, you do Shinsuke versus Triple H at WrestleMania. You want to get someone over that way, that'll get him over huge. Because, you know, Triple H does lose at WrestleMania. He does have a losing record. You had Nakamura take on Triple H and beat him? Same. Helps out a lot, especially in today's wrestling. Benoit is one of the smaller guys I must respect. He knows his size limits and he works his ass off in the gym. Exactly. Having too many wacky storylines that make no sense. Yeah, that seems like WWE nowadays. Too many wacky storylines that make no sense. At least TNA knows how to do their wacky storylines. WWE doesn't. They just do a bunch of random shit. WWE just doesn't. Asuka, I don't know if she can get over that huge. She has a nice smile, I will say that, but I don't know if Asuka can get over as huge as Nakamura. My personal opinion. Oh, look, 4 dislikes. I hated on Daniel Bryan, so fans disliked the video. Yay. This is how it is most of the time. No, I can't believe you hated on Shinsuke. Oh, sorry, shit. Well, I didn't hate on Shinsuke. I mean, too many repetitive matches, I must say, bores everyone, including the casual fans. Yeah, some of the matches just go on the same. Can Jason beat Myers in the month of October? And what if Freddie shows up? If Friday the 13th, then yes, Jason can beat Mike Myers. We all saw what happened during Freddie versus Jason, so Freddie wins. Who knows? Which NXT guys should debut in the Royal Rumble next year? Bobby Roode just for his theme song alone, and maybe Nakamura if he's not NXT champion. But I would say Bobby Roode first and foremost because I think his theme song would actually be really cool, especially in the Alamo Dome. You have it where he comes out and the fans are all behind it. Glorious. And I won't give in. I won't give in. You know, they start singing it. Guys in the chat who love vanilla midgets, you shouldn't be here, seriously. I mean, E-Border, let's be real here. People who love vanilla midgets should not be on my channel in the first place. I mean, let's be real here. How many times have you been in my chat, E-Border, and there's been guys that are like, oh, I love vanilla midgets. The guys who love the vanilla midgets, they come afterwards in the chat. They comment on my videos afterwards saying that I don't know shit. The reason I don't like casuals is because they jump into a bandwagon of a show to see what the buzz is about. They stick about a year or two and move on to the next thing. But some casuals can become longtime fans. It just depends on how you write and book for it. That's the thing. Bad ownership. Yeah, Dixie Carter is a pretty bad owner. She got a restraining order. What the fuck? Did you cry tears of joy when Benoit won the world title? I know I did, and I was only 11 when it happened. Well, we're the same age, Red Wolf, because I was only 11 or 10 years old when that fucking happened. And yes, I did cry tears of joy. I was happy to see Benoit work his ass off and actually get the world title and make Triple H tap out of all people. Because at that time, yes, Triple H is my favorite of all time, but at that time, I couldn't stand Triple H. And just seeing Benoit actually make that fucker tap out, oh, I was so happy. I also hate the fact that every wrestler seems like a creator wrestler from WWE 2K and the fact they don't stand out. That's true. I think whenever the casuals first see Nakamura come out prancing, they'll probably be like, what? But once they see what he can do, they'll be like, damn, he's pretty badass. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's the thing with Nakamura. Like, I feel like he comes out, he starts dancing, stuff like that. People are just going to kind of look at him like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, it's different. Like, Balor comes out in the demon paint, feel like a demon. Let's just be real here. I don't get the obsession with Finn Balor. Like, yow! Whoa, yo! Like he just does the same moves, gets his ass kicked, brum, 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 brum. You know, John Cena, 5 moves of doom. Nakamura, at least it's just like he kicks you and you're, it's like, oh shit. So yeah, wrestlers with creative control, yeah, that does hurt the wrestling business, especially when they feel like they know what's best. See John Cena, see Triple H. You know, they tend to fuck up a lot with their decisions. WWE 2K, yeah, at least you can make an interesting storyline in WWE 2K. That's true. You can do that with WWE 2K to some degree. Sorry, guys, I'm just checking my phone real quick. Fantasy talk. You know, when the fantasy season's deep in, you got to make some trades. All right. Commentators talking stories instead of moves. Yeah, because you're not really educating the fans on any of the moves, to be honest with you. If the fans don't know what the fuck they're watching, why are they watching in the first place? I mean, there's a time and a place for a match to tell a story. Like when they're doing the rest holds or when there is a little break in the action and wrestlers kind of selling an injury on the outside type of deal and stuff like that. That's when you start telling the story. But when someone's doing a move and no one knows what the hell is going on, it's like, what is that move? Well, I don't know. Michael Cole said, what a maneuver. What if the move's really cool? What are you going to say about it? It's like, oh, like John Cena, he does the Mysterio Express nowadays. You know, he does that little Mysterio Express. It's funny when John Cena does it. I laugh every time I see it. But John Cena does that move, and they go, oh, Cena always adding to his repertoire. just call it like some fucking move. Just name it like the Cena Express or something. Just tell the fans what the hell it is at least. Because people are not going to know what it is. They're just going to sit there and be like, why the fuck did John Cena do that? It didn't get pinfall whatsoever. It didn't have him win the match. So why does he do that move? At least give a name to it so people can know what the fuck it is and they know if it's like a signature or something. Do you think bringing back Jim Ross would help out the brand? No. Not even Jim Ross could save this shit. His production values, especially these garbage indies. Because M. Cole and the rest of the gang is pretty boring, yeah. When has WWE gotten away from storytelling? I feel like WWE, they'll have certain matches that will tell stories, like see any big time Cena match, because Cena is one of the only few people that can tell somewhat of a story. Like, don't get me wrong, Cena's not the greatest storyteller on planet Earth. I mean, most Cena matches are just him getting beaten up and then he gets back up and he does the 5 moves of doom and then it's rap-a-doo and everything like that. But when Cena is wrestling a big time match, most of the time you get a good story out of it because Cena slows down the guy that normally goes too fast and he does his own things. And it turns out to be pretty damn good because you tell the story of that, hey, here's John Cena, the guy that never gives up. He's facing off against this guy, and this guy has something over Cena's head. And especially when Cena loses, it's just kind of like, oh, wow. So, you know, Cena somewhat can do the storytelling, but WWE mostly got away from storytelling around the mid-2007 era. That's when they kind of gotten away from storytelling, and they just kind of were like, you know, catering a little bit more to the hardcore fans. You know, ECW was kind of more of a hardcore fan type of thing than a casual fan's perspective. And then around mid-2008, that's when it started to like really explode, that it was more indie. And in 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and now even today, you know, that's when most of the wrestlers nowadays, because they started signing guys that were more good in-ring workers instead of really good storytellers. Like the last really good storytellers that they really had were like, you know, like I said, Cena's not a great storyteller, but when you put Cena in a big match, he can tell a pretty decent story. Punk was a good storyteller. He's no longer there. Daniel Bryan, not much really that good of a storyteller, but a really exciting wrestler to watch. But the guy wrestling him could tell the story for him. And that was really good with Daniel Bryan, was that he was exciting to watch. And if he wrestled someone that could tell a story, it was even better. See the Triple H match at WrestleMania 30. See the triple threat match with him, Batista, and Orton. See the Bray Wyatt match. Bray Wyatt's not a good wrestler, but he's a good storyteller. The problem is Bray Wyatt's now in an era where you have to be a good wrestler, but he's not really that good of a wrestler. He's just a good storyteller. If you guys get the idea. What do you dislike about Balor? Strong for his size, and he's pushed to the main event. He's lazy. That's pretty much it. He's not that great in the ring. I can see the appeal in the future, but when it comes down to it, I've watched so many Balor matches, and all the dude does is get beaten up. And that's it. He gets beaten up, and then he comes up and does his 5 moves of doom, and that's it. Shark Teeth, thank you for the love. It's mostly if you piss off wrestling fans, they'll hit the dislike button. The likes will come. At the end of the day, I win no matter what, because you like or dislike the video, you've given me more interactions. Old timers not getting with the times like Jim Cornette, absolutely. Absolutely, Japanese hugger. Jim Cornette cannot get out of his ways, as you commented, man. He's too old-fashioned. Like, some of the old stuff, like I said, it doesn't work nowadays in wrestling. Get 2007 Raws over today, any day of the week. That's my childhood. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, Batista could tell a good story. You get Batista in a big-time match, Batista would tell a good story. I mean, Batista, the only thing that fucked him up was anytime WWE was trying to take him out of the main event, guys would get injured. It's not Batista's fault. Undertaker got injured. Edge got injured. I mean, they tried to get Batista out of the SmackDown main event. How many times? How many times have you watched if you go back and watch some of those old 2007 pay-per-views, you'll sit back and be like, oh, this is Batista's last chance at the world title. It's like, how many last chance matches does this motherfucker get? Like, for real. Paul Heyman and Triple H should be taking over WWE. I feel like with Heyman, it I feel like with Heyman, he is really good at getting a lot of guys' flaws and making them look really, really great. But I feel like he'll get burnt out too easily, especially since a lot of guys have too much flaws. Triple H, I feel like, can handle that a little bit more, but at the same time, I don't think Triple H wants to deal with the whole fact. Because, see, Triple H likes to do slow burn booking. The problem is you can't do that nowadays. He should be over. I know, like, Jericho's a legend. He should be over. Oh, on the creative side? Oh, yeah, absolutely. On the creative side, sure. But like I said, Triple H's style of booking is I feel Triple H creatively, and Paul Heyman to some extent, because Paul Heyman, there's some guys where you had to slow burn and you had to wait for the story to be told. But Triple H on the creative side, he's too much of a slow burn booker. Like Triple H, like I love the guy and everything like that. I feel like he does have a good sense of the business, especially creatively. But nowadays, you got to show results right away. And that's something that Vince, and even from a business side aspect, if you had Triple H do it, he would even lose sight of. Do you think wrestling apologists also make wrestling suck? No, I think wrestling apologists just make you want to get annoyed with wrestling. I don't think they make it suck. I think what makes it suck really is, to be honest, the product itself and what they put out there. Yeah, exactly. Batista wrestled Umaga at WrestleMania 24. Batista missed a lot of WrestleManias. Like, he wasn't there for 22 because of the injury. He wasn't even there for 25 because of injury. I mean, Batista was never shoved down our throats. That's why it made no sense when he came back and fans were pissed off that he won the Rumble. Like, you knew he was going to fucking win. You guys were all excited. Like, I tell you what, if Batista's return wasn't spoiled, I can tell you guys right now, fans would have gone apeshit at the 2014 Royal Rumble if Batista came out as a surprise entrant. You guys don't believe me, but they would have. Because they would have known. They would have been sitting there like, wait a minute, Batista's coming back? What the fuck? Like, you could hear the rumors and everything like that, but you don't know if it's true unless you see it happen. It's like the AJ Styles rumors. Oh, no, AJ's not coming to WWE. He's not there or anything like that. Like, I remember going back and reading reports after the Rumble. There was no reports that AJ Styles was in the building. There was no reports that AJ Styles was spotted at the airport. There was nothing. They're like pretty much AJ Styles won't be used at the Rumble reports. Because I don't read reports before the Royal Rumble because I generally like to be surprised, and then I read them afterwards. But yeah. Batista, there was no rumors of him coming back. You know how amazing it would have been if he came out to 2014 Royal Rumble? Oh, those fans would have gone ape shit. They would have gone ape shit. And if you disagree with me, eat a dick. Let's be real here. You have a real star coming back out of nowhere. You're not expecting this. You're not expecting Batista to come back. And then all of a sudden you're just sitting there watching the Rumble. Number 24. You're going to be like, what the fuck? And then out comes Batista. Batista goes and he wins the Rumble. Those fans would not be booing him whatsoever. They would be cheering. They would be happy. They would be like, I don't give a fuck. Makes no sense. Batista just won the Rumble. Batista is back. Well, straight shooter, the internet didn't spoil his return. Las Vegas spoiled his return advertising him. And so WWE got caught with their pants down and they didn't know what to fucking do. Because originally Batista was supposed to be a surprise in the Rumble. Yeah, Goldberg returning should have been a surprise. Shark Teeth, I am working on becoming an announcer in the future. Yes, that's what college is for. I got to get a certain degree, and then I'll be set to go. Do you see Batista coming back one more time? I feel Batista's stuck in his ways of feuding with Triple H. Batista just should have came back as a heel from the start. He said they fucked up with how they brought him back. Yeah, Batista, because people think Batista's like I'm just some guy that got into the business. No, Batista's a fucking genius. What's up? Batista's no fucking dummy. Like, here's the thing. Remember when Cena was the top guy for so many years? He would get booed. Notice how Batista, whenever he would come out, there was never like mixed reactions for Batista. Batista was always generally cheered for the most part of his career. I also like to ask one question. Why couldn't just the WWE just tell the dirt sheets to fuck off until you see it on TV? Well, the problem is it's not really main WWE's problem. There's guys inside that locker room that give the information to those guys because they probably get paid. They get paid more money and also with their WWE salary to let out this information and stuff like that. They have people within the company. That's how they get these answers and stuff like that. That's how they get these quote-unquote rumors. They have connections within the company. So that's why Meltzer gets all his reports. He messages his friend tells him to report, his friend gets a paycheck. Meltzer makes enough money where he can pay someone or a couple of people to give him all the details on what he needs to know. So yeah. Naito. Fuck Naito. Okada all day. Fuck Naito, Japanese hugger. It's funny how people mark the fuck out for Goldberg just because he's associated with WCW, but they still boo Roman Reigns just cuz. LOL. Goldberg's too big. And no, those are the same people who were booing Goldberg too. That's the funny part. That's just the funny part about professional wrestling. You can never make anyone happy in professional wrestling. It's really hard to make certain people happy. A lot of people are always like, oh, no, you can't do that. Well, guess what? You can. Ain't that hard. God dang. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in to this live stream that I've been wanting to do for a while. Got some shit to do tonight. Busy man I am, yes. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your guys' night. Los Ingobernables or the Bullet Club. I heard Heel Steven talk about this group, the Los guys, Bullet Club for life. Rah. Too sweet. Like the original Bullet Club. And I like the Bullet Club with AJ Styles. This new Bullet Club, I don't know. Kind of suspect. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching the show. If you guys have more comments, put them in the comment section down below. Give this video a big old thumbs up. And if you guys are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your night.